Yes, people, welcome back to the 1894 for a brand new video. I'm Hugh, I've got Dara here with me now. The man that has been on the minds of City fans for the guts of 12 months now is Erling Haaland. We thought the deal was over, but his name seems to be cropping back up again in the papers. So let's get into what's happening. Okay, so strikers have been the main talking point for City transfers in recent weeks. Now that we know Sergio Aguero is gone, that is done, he's gone to Barcelona, we need a replacement. And Harry Kane has been the main talking point, I think, since he's kind of pushed the idea that he wants to leave Tottenham. We have latched on to the idea of signing him at City. Originally it was Haaland, now it's Kane, but now it could be, and we're completely speculating here, it could be Haaland due to recent developments, I suppose, if you like. So originally Dortmund were saying they're not selling Haaland for any fee or whatever, and I thought he wanted to stay as well at Dortmund, but now it's looking like Chelsea are trying to reopen that tin of worms and get Haaland to Stamford Bridge. And first of all, what an acquisition that would be for Chelsea. They've just won the Champions League. If they bring in Erling Haaland, I would be very, very fearful of them in the Premier League next season. I think it really puts them in possibly favourites position considering the amount of players that we have possibly leaving the club. But this leads me on to the idea that could we sign Haaland? We've got the valuation for Kane, which Daniel Levy has said, an unnamed source, not Daniel Levy, has said they're not selling Kane for any player swap. It'll be 150 million no matter what, and that's the valuation. And City value him at 100 million. And now Dortmund seem to be leaning towards the idea of selling Haaland for 150 million. Like, that seems to be where they kind of stand. Got a tweet from Fabrizio Romano here saying, Man United are in contact with Sancho's camp on personal terms, but still no official bid. Dortmund want 95 million. Chelsea strong interest in Haaland confirmed, but Dortmund have no intention to sell Erling Haaland this summer, especially if Sancho leaves. Crazy bid only way. Emphasize crazy bid only way. Crazy bid realistically means 150 million. Now, let's have this conversation, Dara, because 150 million is what Daniel Levy, or the unnamed source, has said that Spurs want for Kane. If we're to spend 150 million, and we know they're both going to cost 150 million, we need a striker and we want one or the other, I'm starting to think, should we not go in and hijack the Haaland deal and spend that money on Haaland instead of 27-year-old Kane?
Why not? So that's how I think about it. Why not? I mean, Kane's 27, Haaland's 20, 21. There's the big disparity in age. Obviously, Haaland has potential to become better than Kane. He's already a really, really good striker. Put him in that City team, I'd say he gets about 10 more goals than he did this season. Like, you know what I mean? He's such a good talent. I don't see why we wouldn't go in for him, especially if we have the funds, which we seemingly do with all of our players wanting to go to Barcelona. We probably will have enough funds to bring him in. So why not try for both of them, see what happens, really?
We know Alfie Haaland, or I saw on Twitter anyway, Alfie Haaland, someone's quoting him apparently, just don't quote me on that, it's not a direct quote, someone saw on Twitter that Alfie Haaland would prefer his son Erling to go to City, but has no objection to him going elsewhere. He's happy to see him go to United or Chelsea, wherever his heart's content. So I think if you're City and you feel you're going to have to spend 150 million on a player, I think plenty of you will agree at home that it probably makes more sense logistically to go in and hijack Haaland from Chelsea, offer the same money Chelsea are offering Dortmund, and it puts them in a position where Alfie and Raiola have to decide where Erling goes. What do you think of that? Do you think there's a possibility of now that they know that the crazy bid exists, like Dortmund would be willing to sell for a crazy bid? Do you think it's worth City's while going in for him?
Yeah, it's definitely worth a while, but I don't think Haaland's going to move anywhere this summer. I think he'll stay there until the pay out his release clause next season. But again, if Chelsea are going to go in for him, are going to put in that 150 million, why wouldn't City go in? Like, Kane's not going to go to Chelsea. You know what I mean? Regardless of if City get Haaland or not, Kane won't end up at Chelsea. If it's not City, he won't go anywhere. So I can't see anything wrong going in for Haaland, especially if Chelsea are. We can rub it on them, make sure they don't get a top class striker while getting one ourselves,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of different sides to the story. Obviously, it's Kane and Haaland, or Kane or Haaland, and I think where I stood originally was, yes, Tottenham are going to want an absurd amount of money for Harry Kane, because that's the way Daniel Levy operates. He's a complete prick to deal with by the sound of it in the transfer dealings. And when he said 150 million, he's kind of putting the ceiling on it. He's saying that's where we'll start the negotiation. I think City will go for Kane only if they can get that negotiation down to either a player swap and cash, or else in and around the 120, maybe 120 or 130 region, then they would pursue the Kane deal. But if it's a case of they're both going to cost 150 million plus outright, No exceptions. I think it's worth it within City's interest to go for Haaland instead. Now, this is me completely speaking on the basis that City are even willing to go for either of those prices. There's, knowing Manchester City and the way we operate, there's every possibility that we'll say, you know what, scrap both of them. We're not paying 150 million for either of them. We can survive without them. We can spend our 100 million or so on Grealish or get in maybe an Andre Silva. We did a video on that 2 days ago whereby you bring in someone, a striker like Silva, who you have to work on maybe for a year, get him up to speed with the Premier League and used to the style of play, all that stuff, whilst having Jack Grealish there, who's going to provide a lot anyway. So I think they're going to have to weigh up their options. I mean, do they want to spend 150 million? But if you're going to have to spend 150 million, and that's what they decided, we're doing this, we're going to spend the big bucks on a striker. I think if it's the same price, you go for Harry Kane, or sorry, excuse me, Erling Haaland. I think you go for Erling Haaland. Because obviously, like Dara said, he's younger, he's got a lot of potential. But then there's the thing where Harry Kane is English Premier League proven, he's the England captain as well. Both top players, but we thought we'd just make a video basically weighing up the pros and cons. And now we're making it basically because we see a glimmer of light there now that Dortmund have said the crazy bid, and Chelsea seem to be kind of hovering around that crazy bid sort of thing. And we know Chelsea are capable of paying it as well, but we also know as well that Alfie Haaland would like Erling to play for City, and Erling grew up a City fan, we're led to believe. So I think it's an interesting one. I think there's a lot to be said for this whole saga as well. But my hunch is he'll remain at Dortmund until we hear a little bit further. I think we'll know a lot more after the Euros. Leave your comments down below. Kane or Haaland, what do you think is a reasonable price for either of them? If they're both costing 150 million, who do you go for? I think I stand with Haaland. Where do you stand?
Yeah, same, to be honest. Like, there's pros and cons for both, like you said, but if we can get a younger, who's still proven in other leagues, goal scorer for the same amount that you're getting, what we're led to believe is an injury-prone 27-year-old striker, why not? Why not? Like, you can test waters of both of them at the same time. You don't have to just tunnel vision on one. We saw last year what happened when you tunnel vision on one player, you completely forget about the other one with Messi. But if you tunnel vision on one of them, it could end up breaking down. So have a look at both. And obviously, we're not going to get both of them, but have a look. Try get the negotiations in for both of them, and see if you come out the other end, I suppose.
But if Haaland is to move, lads, can we hijack the deal? Will City spend the money? Will Cheeky go out there and negotiate a deal? Will Khaldoon, will the Sheik be open to spend that kind of cash? We've never seen it before at City. Can it happen? Leave your comments down below. Leave a like on the video. Subscribe if you're new. On the road to 300. We're getting there. Thank you so much. Discord down below as well if you want to join that. And we'll see you very soon.